Welcome to AutoSave. My name is Nick Andrade, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Camille Salazar Hadaway, as we continue our journey in Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. And on last week's episode, Peter's sleepy time and Miles got captured by Kraven.
Peter, I need you to come. Miles,
Look up!
go after him.
Sorry I'm late. The hell's going on with Pete?
He's not himself. I think it has something to do with that suit. It's called a symbiote, and it's an alien.
What? Like he's wearing an alien?
Just help him, Miles. Please.
I'm on it, MJ. I'm on it. Spider-Man! It's me!
So after Peter went to sleep, the symbiote took full control of Spider-Man as the hunters circled the Parker house. We had some MJ missions to try to get to Peter and help him snap out of it. Miles came in for the rescue, but only problem was he was captured. And Peter was none the wiser by his actions, waking up on a park bench to find out what was going on through some missed calls that he had on his phone and an angry Rio Morales. Meanwhile, Miles confronted Lee as he had to go head-to-head against the man he's been after since the beginning of the game while they were in Kraven's hideout. We find out that Lee isn't the villain he once was, and through an epic battle, Miles rediscovers himself, saves Lee instead of saving himself, and tells Lee to find Peter. And that's where we left off. So the huge story continues. Just take a deep breath and pause if you have to, because a lot happened.
I feel like there's a lot happening all the time. Like in every episode, we're just like, oh my goodness. And that's just showing like how much they're able to like pack into here, but I don't feel overwhelmed. Like, you know, sometimes when there's like too much to a story.
Yes.
I know we don't talk about that often, but it feels like there's like too much and a lot of it is like fluff.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that vibe yet. I mean, we still have a ways to go, but I'm not getting that vibe yet. It's keeping things interesting and I'm not exhausted. I'm not like getting a Spider-Man overload.
Well, let's see how you feel at the end of this episode, because I feel like Spider-Man Overload is coming.
Oh, no.
But first, let's do the question of the day. I want to base it around Miles fighting Lee in the Kraven pit. So here we go. In a battle royale of spider people, who do you think would win? But we're going to choose from 8 spider people because the list, it could be ginormous. We could have like, you know, I heard Cosmic Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man ever and he'll destroy everybody. So we can't use him. So here's the picks. We got Miles Morales Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, Miguel O'Hara, Jessica Drew, Spider-Punk, Silk, and Ben Reilly. Who do you think would win in a battle royale? Because I know my answer.
Battle royale. You got to be ruthless.
Yes.
You know, you got to be able to do what's necessary to get it done. Because like this is a bunch of spider people going against each other.
I know where this is going.
You know, they're going against themselves.
Yep.
And there's only one spider person from that list that I feel like could be that ruthless, almost to the point where like you may want to hate them.
Yeah.
And that's Miguel O'Hara.
That's where I knew you were going with that, which makes the most sense, right? He probably would be the most ruthless, like you said.
I mean, he is also a vampire. So like he could just, you know, let himself go and just suck everyone's blood and be like, all right, y'all dead.
Well, I am going to go with Spider-Punk, Hobie Brown, because
that's a good one.
he is so cool that I don't think the other Spider people could keep up, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
his coolness just exudes. I remember watching Across the Spider-Verse, and I thought to myself, this guy is so cool.
Like, they'll be
And
so distracted by his coolness. Is that
yes, I think so. Yeah. They don't want to, you don't want to go against that cool person, right? So I feel like they'd be like, nah, like, you got this. You're too cool for us.
it? Yeah. They'll
And he'd be
take the
like-
L for the team.
And then he'll be like, whatever, cool. Like, he won't even care about the trophy.
I think he may not even realize he won because he doesn't care because he's so cool.
Yes.
You know? I think that's a good one. You know, when you think about the movies or the Across the Spider-Verse, he does distract quite a bit of people. Not only Gwen Stacy, but like everyone else really does pay attention to him. So I think he may be onto something.
Yeah, I think, again, like, I didn't know too much about Spider-Punk before Across the Spider-Verse, but now I'm big fan.
He can also serenade them, like kind of like a Snorlax thing.
Well, I don't know if
like
he has
reverse or like a
peaceful
Cliff Fairy thing. No, yeah, Cliff Fairy. No, Jigglypuff. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm forgetting all my Pokemon.
I was like, what are you talking about, Clefairy?
I'm like, not Clefairy.
What's happening?
But Jigglypuff. I mentioned like one sleeping one
Yes.
and the two pink, notable pink Pokemon. But he could definitely do like a Jigglypuff thing. Just play his guitar, and then maybe that's like a secret. He just plays Wonderwall on guitar.
I don't pick him as that. I don't think he would play a serenading song. Like, he was like Sex Pistols, like rock and roll.
But that's what you would think. But cool people always surprise you.
That's
You
true.
never know.
That's true. All right, well, those are our answers. What are your answers? Who do you think would win in an all-out Spider People Battle Royale brawl? I'm curious to know. Let us know in the Discord. But let us get to some gameplay. And there's a lot to unpack today. Again, Cam said she hasn't been overwhelmed so far. Well, she probably will be overwhelmed today. Peter now has to find Miles before Kraven gets a hold of him. And remember that Peter is still, in fact, the symbiote Spider-Man. So really, anything is possible with how this is going to go. Probably not good, is my opinion.
Hey, got a report that Mr. Negative's near Feast in Chinatown. But nothing from Miles. Do you think?
Miles is fine. We're out looking for him now. Find Lee. Miles has to be there too. Has to be.
I'll go check it out. If he so much as laid a hand on Miles.
Hello? It's Dr. Connors. Sorry, I asked Harry for your number. Please. Come back to the lab. We need to remove the symbiote. The hold that it's already taking on your mind, it's only going to get worse.
I'm busy. No one listens.
So Emo Spider is still very much alive. Peter shrugs off Dr. Connors, who is legitimately worried about Peter and his mental state, which seems to be falling apart quicker and quicker. It doesn't look good for Mr. Emo Peter.
I mean, okay, firstly, now you care about Miles.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're willing to like go after people and because, he's worried if they lay a hand on him. It's like, come on, Pete. What do you want? You don't want to do everything or do you want to help Miles? I don't know. Okay. I can't, the emotions. I can't, that's the only thing I can't keep up with is Peter's emotions because they keep changing so much when he's in the suit. But yeah, like I think it's interesting to hear Dr. Connors as well, like just really reach out to Peter. I slightly forgot Dr. Connors knows that he has the suit.
Right.
So that little reminder there, because so much was happening, I think is important. And I wonder how, because even though there wasn't a real relationship or one that was established between Peter and Dr. Connors, I think the fact that Peter helped save him from the lizard, maybe Dr. Connors feels like he needs to repay Peter. I think obviously he does want to help Peter out because he knows how like a change can affect your lifestyle and change you as a person. But I think also he has that looming over him, like, he knows that he wants to repay Spider-Man back.
I think that's a part of it, but I also do think he knows how bad the symbiote is. Again, basically, he lost his arm.
Yeah,
and
true.
he's been dealing with the symbiote for quite a long time. So I think he knows what the effects are, and he is afraid for his life. However, he did give it to Harry or monitored Harry before. So
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
And he was sound of mind then. He wasn't lizard.
He was. Yes.
Yeah.
And the only person to blame, Peter, is yourself. Okay, because you have not answered Miles' phone calls all game, and we've noticed. We have noticed.
It would be hilarious if this was just a whole case of like Miles just not answering Peter's calls to update him.
Yep.
But he's good. Now he's fine. He escaped Kraven's men.
Exactly.
He's fine. He's living it up. He's actually almost on his way back home,
I hope so, because that's what Peter deserves. Just saying. Anyway, the Danica cast also plays in the background, and Danica is worried about Spider-Man, saying he's wreaking havoc on the city. And Peter, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. It seems like, a lot of these podcasts go off and he doesn't say anything, which is very telling.
Or he'll make a snark comment about it.
Yes.
Right. So it's very interesting. Like, he doesn't care about the city, but then if he hears it too much, it just like it really gets to him, and like he shows his aggression or anger towards whatever it is.
Well, we have to go find Lee so we can find Miles.
I left the best parts of me here. I'm not looking for a fight. Kraven has the other Spider-Man trapped in an old mansion east of the city. He saved me. Told me to find you. This was the only way I knew how. I owe him my life. And much more. If we hurry...
No. You've done enough.
You should be proud of him. He reminds me of you.
Reminds him of me. He doesn't even know me. Or Miles. A little bit of help, now all of a sudden he's a good guy. As soon as Miles is safe, Lee's going back in a cell. Not now, MJ. Is Spider-Man doing more harm than good? How about now? Now who needs the old Spider-Man? What's so great about the new Spider-Man anyway? He can't even stop some hunters. They destroyed the EMF. Destroyed my life. I'm going to lose May's house because of them and... Kraven.
Yeah, Cam has a look on her face that is confused. Is it because you heard Venom's voice for the first time?
Yeah. That's interesting. That's not good. Not a good sign.
No.
At all. Nope.
So again, maybe Peter turns into Venom. That's what I've been saying for a while. That'd be a cool twist.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm starting to think it may be a possibility. A real possibility.
All right, so let's talk about what we heard in this clip. First off, I want to mention that Mr. Negative's powers actually negate the symbiote. So there's a point where kind of goes after Lee, boom, right away. Symbiote does not like Mr. Negative. So that's an interesting little tidbit to find out here, that Peter can't even touch him with his suit. Lee confirmed basically to turn a new leaf and is very reflective of what he says to Peter now. Now, here's the thing. I know that Peter has the symbiote. Okay? I know that He's been Mr. Emo Peter. But his feelings against Lee in this moment are valid because he is the reason that Aunt May is dead. So
that's actually true because we never really
Yes.
see Peter deal with those emotions. He talks about it to Miles, especially when he doesn't have the suit at the beginning of the game, where we see Miles really testing his limits of power against Lee, or his determination to capture Lee again. So it is interesting to see everything that he kind of was telling Miles before, to have that patience, to not go down that path because it's not going to be good. He just completely throws that out the window in this whole monologue.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, Lee should go back to jail. But that's the thing. He doesn't go to kill Lee until
he tries, he not try to kill him, but he tries to attack him.
That's true. But he says see, this is why I'm just like, what's going on, Peter? Are you still under there? Because he's like, he needs to go back to jail. That's like a Peter thing to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Rather than a symbiote or a Venom thing to say.
Yeah, but then right after, literally,
I know.
he says,
and then after he's like, kill
Kraven.
Kraven. Yeah, but that's Kraven.
Yes.
I mean,
in your opinion, does Lee deserve a second chance?
I don't know. Okay, it's kind of like, the whole point of jail, which Lee has been in, is to help rehabilitate. Obviously, when you have superpowers, it's like, how do you rehabilitate someone who still may have the power to act and in an extreme way and affect so many people that's in the public and kind of reoffend again, you know what I mean? And I think even though he has superpowers, anyone who's done a crime runs that risk. So it's like, we should give him a chance. If he's done his time, and he's shown a few times now that he is not the same Mr. Negative that we've encountered before, right? And if that is truly the case, then he does deserve a second chance. But I'm curious, how long is the sentencing? Because then he just may need to go. How long is he supposed to be in jail? He may need to go back to finish that time.
Yeah, that's true. But
I
don't know. I feel like I want to give him a second chance. So I'm sure he's served what? How long has it been? A year? 2 years?
A year
tops?
for bombing
No.
or attacking the city. Yeah.
I'm saying served so far. He's only served 1 or 2 years. But he probably has a life sentence.
Probably.
Or maybe not. I don't even know. How does it work?
I mean, hey, man, I don't know. I mean, really, it doesn't. The sentencing, now that I think about it, it doesn't really matter because it's I think it's more, does he deserve a second chance in the eyes of these Spider-Men? Right? Especially because he directly affected them. And remember, they both knew him. Well, Miles specifically knew him, actually, Peter and Miles knew him through Feast.
Yes.
As people outside of Spider-Man. So I think it's there's also that element of betrayal there.
Yeah.
That was addressed in the first game, because it's this is someone that you actually trusted to work alongside your Aunt May, and that you worked in the same facility with, Miles, to help make a change for the city. And then he just did everything that completely didn't stand for that because of his feelings towards Norman Osborn. So it's tough. It's tough to make that call.
I think he's shown himself a couple times here that we can start to maybe trust him. Again, still be skeptical, but looks like he's turning a new leaf. So
yeah, but they have to be ready to trust him,
They do. And Mr. Symbiote Spider-Man isn't trusting nobody at this point.
Nope.
Well, Mr. Symbiote Spider-Man has to go save Miles still. And as you get to the mansion that he is at, there is no stealth mission. Venom says kill, and you go on a rampage on all the hunters. This is, well, for me, for the player, super fun. Probably for Spider-Man, really problematic here. But as a player playing this game, this is badass.
Yeah, it just puts all that power of the suit, and it makes, like, even how we're talking about, like, it's so much fun. You have all that power in the suit, and you just want to beat anything up around you. It's like we are actually feeling the manipulation that the suit grants its wearer. You know, this is kind of like Spider-Man's kind of drunk in love with the suit, right? Drunk with all the power that the suit is giving him as well, because it is a significant difference than when he is Spider-Man. Yes, he's powerful, but just not having the Peter side of things just lets everything go. And, you know, when you take control in this moment, I mean, I'm pretty sure there are a few hunters that have died in this situation. How he's throwing them around. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, some of them are definitely dead.
Yeah.
All right, here we go though. Here is my Christian Bale Spider-Man Peter Parker impression that he screams out in one of these scenes here, asking one of the Kraven hunters where Kraven is. He says, "Where?" And then I wanted to say, "Swear to me, where is he?" Because, you know,
Rachel. I can't even.
Rachel, where's Rachel?
Peter just started saying Rachel. We're like, wait, what?
Yes.
What? What's going on?
I apologize to anyone listening to that, and
I apologize to our producer Dylan, who had to unexpectedly hear that.
Swear to me, producer Dylan. I just find it fun. I really think it was a nod. I think they did it on pop.
Oh, you think so?
On purpose. Yes, I do. I think they did it on purpose, and it was funny, and I enjoyed it. So thank you, Insomniac. Appreciate it.
It was really funny. I liked it.
But anyway, sorry to get off track, because Peter barges into the mansion. He collapses the place, but of course, it's a trap.
I'm assured that material is unbreakable. But I believe anything can be broken. You still hold back. Maybe you lack motivation. Now you're in for it. Yes. There you are.
Whoa. The music, by the way, incredible. I just love hearing Kraven's theme constantly. It makes everything so much better.
Kraven's score is, I think, my favorite piece of music.
Be careful
in the Spider-Man, in all the Spider-Man games.
I was be careful what you're saying. Are you saying of all time? What's happening here?
No. But I think it is probably the best villain music in a video game. I would say. Yeah, I think it is. It's just like there's something so menacing, like, and then how it just gets louder and then softens and then louder and softens. Because it's always like Craven's up to something. He's scheming.
He is. He is. Well, of course, he's up to something. He shows up to see Spider-Man at his absolute best to fight him. So that's why he traps him inside, gets him angry. He shows Miles in a cell so that it can motivate Spider-Man to get angrier and unleash his true power, which is what Kraven wants. He just wants a fight with someone who is his equal, which is very interesting. But that leads us into our boss fight, finally, with Kraven. And that's where we head to phase 1, where we get to avoid some bombs, avoid some attacks. There's some parries that you have to do as well in those combos where you can't dodge, so you got to be careful. But pretty much an easy first phase, I would say. But again, I want to preface this to say I did all the side missions already, and my Spider-Men were very close to the level cap and had most of their abilities unlocked. So for me, again, I'm sorry to say, but these fights were a little teensy weensy easy for me.
Okay, well, the first phase, I feel like, of this fight, it was kind of like, pretty a normal encounter.
Yes.
It wasn't anything that was too serious. But I think I played it right because I wasn't powered up to the max. Okay. So I was given this a real immersive, experience. I'm just actually surprised too that we're fighting Kraven. I feel like we have more game to go through before this is supposed to happen.
Well, we've been playing this game for a long time.
Yeah.
Even last week you said, like, how long is this story going to go? Where am I in this story?
True.
So it's just like, I don't know what's going on. Because I know we still probably have to deal with Venom. I think that's what we're all thinking. So it's like, where does this come into Venom / Kraven in the grand scheme of the ending of the game?
See, at this point, I'm kind of like, is it that they are just going to like do Venom very, very quickly? Like near the end? Because I feel like, yes, we have been in the game for a while. But in terms of story, and there's a lot that's been happening. There's so much attention to detail in this. I feel like it's still too early. Because I still see Kraven as the main villain. Even though you may have to deal with Venom. Like, I don't see us going that deep with Venom yet. Like, do they want to go there for this? Or is it just we're getting that little experience near the end?
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, those bombs you have to avoid. He has these bigger bombs, and then they also spawn smaller detonators. Those are mostly the only things you have to avoid. But if you use your symbiote powers and combine that with dodging, I feel like you're pretty well set in that first phase. Once you defeat him, Kraven brings in a giant bell and rings it to make the symbiote go crazy. So he's prepared for this fight. And that goes, yes.
He's putting that research to work, Nick. All right. This
annoys me.
This guy likes to do some homework, and he's done his homework. He has something to get Peter angry, and he has his bane of his existence, which is the bell.
He's a crybaby because he always says, nobody can fight me. No one's strong enough. But I'm going to find out all your weaknesses, and I'm going to make sure that you are basically powerless against me. And then I'm going to complain that I can't find an equal. No, sir. Why don't you go into a fight without knowing what's going on? And then if you beat them or you die, it's better that way. Come on, buddy.
Yeah. We should just take away all of his medication. If he's going to play dirty like this.
Oh, damn. That's mean. That is mean.
That's putting the research to work. Everything we learned about Kraven.
It's true. It's on to phase 2. And this is where the fight gets a little bit more difficult. You need to avoid Kraven when he rings the bell. Use your webs to stop the ringing from happening because you get stunned when it's ringing. Kraven now uses a cloaking device. He has more heavy attacks, more parries that you have to avoid. And he also uses a sniper rifle from distance, uses flash grenades. Like this, you take it. He brings it in his like cheetah bots or his tiger bots, whatever. Like there's so many more different layers in the second phase right off the hop.
It's like, okay, Kraven, you want a real fight? You want to go one-on-one? Let me just bring all the tools in the toolbox, you know?
It's
like,
true.
come on, Kraven. The one thing that, well, actually, the two things that really irritated me in this fight. Yes, the bell is there. And yes, it's kind of annoying when you're, especially because like you need that distance between you and Kraven in order to really succeed. I feel like in this fight, unless you're Nick and you have the power of the universe at your hands.
Cosmic Spider-Man.
But yeah, Cosmic Spider. But you know, I feel like you, in order to get that distance, when the bell rings, it just stuns you. You know, that's what it's doing. It's stunning you because the suit's like reacting to it, and then you shoot your webs at it to hold it in place. I didn't realize that for like maybe the first 2 times the bell rang, that you couldn't just keep doing that, like shooting webs at the bell.
It has to be a specific time.
It has to be a specific time.
Yes.
Because I was like, oh, this is easy. Just keep shooting webs nonstop at the bell. So then I would just use up all my webs, and I'm like, oh, that's just great. Now I have to wait for them to recharge.
Yep.
So there was that. But the real 2 annoying things is Kraven's cloaking device, because he is so strong. He's so powerful. I was playing the immersive side of things, Nick, so I didn't do all the side missions before because, you know, Miles needed our help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna wait on that, right?
Yeah.
He's very powerful. And I was probably midway of unlocking everything at that point. So it wasn't like I was starting off with nothing. When he strikes you, it does hurt you. So the cloaking device thing and trying to figure out where he is, that was annoying. But then if you like time it just right, just when he shows himself, you could dodge him. The other thing is the flash grenades, because it does this weird, like, it's actually interesting, the animation, how they do these, because it's not like just like everything turns bright and white and you can't see. It also like makes everything kind of like slower or like just delayed, so you're seeing Kraven, but like you're seeing him in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So I like that effect, but then also he would creep up behind you and start hitting you with his axe. Is it an axe he has? I think it's
Yeah,
an
it's
axe
an
or
axe.
whatever. Yeah,
It's
the
an
axe
axe.
that he uses. Yeah.
I felt myself having to dodge constantly.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. This is a tough fight, and they raise the stakes real quick compared to the first phase. So be careful for that. But once you get through all of these little issues in the phase, there's another scene.
But you still hold back. Kill or be killed.
Stop!
No.
Sorry about that. I just... It's just me.
So Kraven says Peter is still holding back, and it looks like he's about to squeeze Peter's head like a grape. I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones. But
No,
there's
I
a
was
scene.
not into that.
Would you watched it?
No, I was in it. I was in a part of that wave of pop culture.
Oh, okay. So this is oh my god, what's his name? What's the guy? Oh my god, I'm blanking now. The guy from The Last of Us.
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Yes, my god, I can't.
He's
believe I
in
forgot
Game
his
of
name.
Thrones.
Yeah, so that was kind of like how he started becoming even bigger
Oh.
name, because he was a really, really cool character in Game of Thrones. Anyway, there's this scene with him where he has to fight the Mountain, Gregor Clegane. Okay, he's this really he's a 7-foot tall guy. And
Is that the guy that holds the door?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Good guess though. Not really. There's a scene where they're fighting each other, and it looks like Pedro Pascal's going to win. He's going to beat this giant guy, but then he gets too cocky, and the mountain trips him, takes his head, and then starts squeezing his eyes, and his whole head explodes, and that's how he dies.
Oh my gosh!
So this is exactly how I thought it was happening here. I was like,
you
my
thought?
God. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was like, this is very familiar. I thought,
was getting to that point.
Yes, his head was going to explode. But again, I'm sure the symbiote has some sort of power. And the symbiote does take control. And it looks like it's about to kill Kraven here. And it looks like Kraven is getting choked by the symbiote and is accepting finally.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it felt like.
It did, because even when you see the symbiote and you see Kraven in the symbiote's grasp, and then Miles just pops up on the wall and is like, this is odd. And when Peter starts to pay attention to Miles, because I think Kraven realizes that as an opportunity for Peter to kind of regress his power again and hold back, with kind of Miles reaching out to him and trying to talk to him. And then he just grabs one of the symbiote's tentacles and squeezes it further to get its attention. So it's a weird thing, because it's Kraven, then why are you doing all the homework if you want to accept this fate?
He's just looking to die, I think, really.
But then why do the assignment at the end? Just don't show up to class.
I get it. I get it.
It's the last day, Kraven.
Yes.
Why you put in an essay? All right. You just need to show up.
He does need to show up. Miles shows up to stop Peter, and this is a point where Kraven, he looks like, no, don't intervene in this moment, please. I'm about to accept my fate. So he's upset. But Miles intervenes, kind of punches him out of the way, and Miles stops Kraven from being killed. And that's when you switch over, Cam, gameplay, and it's now Peter versus Miles. Miles is now your character, and you have to fight Peter. I think this is something I didn't expect at all, but I was here for, and I feel like everyone was hoping for this to happen. A Miles versus Peter moment. How did you feel?
I actually was expecting this fight. I felt like this is, you have two Spider-Men. You know that one of them has a symbiote and is acting a little different. There has to be that battle between the two, even though, Miles wouldn't want that. And you see him kind of apologizing throughout the fight that he's doing, fighting Peter. I'm so worried. I was so worried going into this fight, because Kraven is one thing to go up against symbiote Peter, but Miles is still new to being Spider-Man, and I play as Miles most of the time, but when you're thinking power levels, this thing added up to me. I'm just Miles is about to get murked. This is a good end.
Think so?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, I wasn't, because I'm super powered Miles, all caps level. So symbiote ain't got nothing on me. But this time around now, you have to ring the bell to stun Peter while Peter yells at Miles, and Miles has to speak up, defend himself. The fight definitely feels easier than Kraven's fight. And again, I'm not saying this to be an asshole and say that all of the fights are easy, but I'm just saying this fight does feel easier than Kraven's.
Nick, you want to know something?
You died multiple times.
No, I think you're starting to sound like Kraven. It's an easy fight.
I got I did my research. Yeah. I got everything ready to go.
You're in it for the hunt. You're just looking for that one boss battle that just feels difficult.
No, you know what? I'll be honest. Again, I don't think I am the greatest video game player known to existence. And most of the games I play are on normal mode. I normally don't do hard mode. I like when they're easy for me. I'm gonna be honest, because I like story. I love
Yeah.
the story that video games tell. And I'm not looking for the extreme difficulty where I'm spending 4 hours trying to
Yeah.
fight something. So when I do all the side missions first, I like the ease of breezing through the end, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. That explains like our two different playstyles because I like the more immersive side of things, like what would really happen in this moment. I like stumbling across side missions rather than going to them.
Yeah.
And then in the end, if like I'm interested enough, then I'll like wrap up all the side missions. But you know what? It's okay. It's all right. We have to like light the fire here on AutoSave.
Yeah.
When Nick finds that boss battle that is worthy of him.
No, but this is why we have a podcast. We have two different opinions on how we play games, which makes it better, I think. After phase 1, it triggers another cutscene where Peter now accuses Miles that he wants the suit, and it's pretty epic. Peter is really complaining here a lot about Miles. He's really digging deep. He's throwing a lot of punches. It's like, buddy, you got to stop.
He's not even like, there was actually one thing I forgot to mention earlier on when Peter was on his way to find Miles. He ignores MJ's call. He's just kind of like, oh, who needs the new Spider-Man, referring to Miles. Do you think that there was any jealousy when Miles showed up on the scene?
Sure.
With Peter that thought he was the only one? Like, obviously Peter was pretty relieved because then he was able to go on these vacations, or this one vacation with MJ. But do you think there was any bit of jealousy there?
Yeah, I think so, honestly.
Yeah,
we don't hear about it normally, right? It's something you probably keep close to your chest. But with the symbiote around,
oh, we're getting all the tea.
We are. In phase 2, Venom speaks up more. I don't know if you can. I guess if you're playing Miles, you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing, right? Like I thought it was in Peter's head, but if you hear it as Miles, that means you can hear it.
Oh, like it's speaking out loud.
Yes.
I think it's a bit of both.
Assumed. Okay.
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's like kind of like the whole Peter sleeping symbiote taking control of him. It's just one of those things where it's like, in order to take over and to take that control, he first has to talk to Peter in his head. And then maybe showing how much control the symbiote has, you're starting to hear the vocalization come from Peter himself. Yeah.
Well, in this phase, Peter does sound broken. It's clear to see that this symbiote manipulates its host, because to Peter, what he's saying is every time it feels like he's doing the right thing in his mind, but it's clearly not. Once you get Peter's health bar down again, there's another cutscene.
I can't let this go! I'm finally everything everyone needs me to be!
Yeah? You don't even answer my calls anymore, man! And what about MJ? You could have killed her! I know you're hurting, Pete, but you're better than this!
I know, but... No.
People in my life, they keep dying. I blame myself for that. They needed a hero, and if I thought Pursuit could save them, maybe I'd be in your shoes now. But this kind of power is the reason they're gone. Not you, not me.
Shut up!
Hallelujah! Praise the Lord, because Miles has finally called Peter out for not answering his calls this whole game. I've been complaining about it this whole series, and Miles does what I hoped he did.
You know Miles felt really good saying all that stuff. He was just like, you don't even return my calls.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just one of those moments where he's just like, oh man, I can never talk to my mentor like this. But it's not Peter. It's technically the suit. So it's A-okay in my books, Miles. And really, Peter deserved it because he was being a jerk.
Everything. But, Miles is saying some pretty emotional stuff here. It's getting me a little emotional here just listening about it. But he's grown so much to say these things to Peter. And it seems like it's actually affecting Peter now. He's starting to listen a little bit to what Miles is saying. And that leads you on to phase 3, which is more of the same, I would say. And once you defeat him again...
Pete, come on, man. Just focus on me. Come on! You're stronger than this. You hear me?
Come on, let's move. These last few days... Miles, I'm sorry. Thank you for everything.
It's what Spider-Man do.
Spider-Man didn't save me back there. Miles did.
What now?
I have to talk to Dr. Connors. He said he knows how to destroy it.
Wait, what about Harry? Doesn't he kind of need it?
His dad is working on another cure. One that doesn't involve aliens.
You know, if you need me, I'm just a call away. Well, once I let my mom know this, she still has a son.
I know.
Just glad to have you back, man.
Peter finally fights the symbiote off, and Miles traps it. I think it's important to show that you can't do everything alone, even when you're a superhero. And having Miles for Peter was huge. I don't think he could have done it without Miles, and especially the reflective Miles, who has kind of like grown over the last couple days here that we've been playing.
Yeah, I think this moment here just shows how Peter's actually himself. Like this isn't a surprise, actually. I'm still not myself. Peter is back to being a team player and being one of New York's Spider-Men instead of just on his own doing his own thing.
Yes.
So this was actually, even though it was a brief moment, it is very touching to see them working together again.
As Miles leaves, you also can see Peter look at him admiringly. It's like a proud father seeing their son grow up. So I like that little moment. Again, Peter would be nowhere without Miles. Poor Harry, though. Okay, because looks like they have to destroy the symbiote. And I know Harry's looking for a cure. I don't know if Norman's going to find a cure in time. But Peter heads to Oscorp to see Dr. Connors. And Connors is worried about Peter's state of mind, even though it's off him. He sounds concerned like there could be some after effect to the suit. He also calls to apologize to MJ, which is kind of awkward. I don't know what's going on with their relationship, but that is when we start to then head back to Oscorp to see what's next with Dr. Connors.
You finally got it off. My hero.
Harry, we've got to destroy it. It's too dangerous. I don't want you to lose yourself like I did.
Pete, please.
You don't understand. Connor said it was...
I saved your life! You won't save mine? Do you want me to die?
Harry, are you... Oh, God.
No! Don't hurt him! Stop! Non-lethal! Just get it off of him!
Venom has arrived.
Oh, so good.
Wow. This time around, he gets the symbiote under different circumstances, right? He is going through it. All right. He is upset. He thinks he's, on the verge of dying, probably. He feels like nobody has helped him at all. And where the last time he had the symbiote, he just had these regular powers. He had that cool suit that kind of changed over time. This time, he literally turns into Venom. And I understand it because he is now full of hatred. And this is what the symbiote is doing to him. And it's changing the way it looks. And that's why he becomes Venom. So I buy it 1,000%.
So is it, because I was a little confused here, because I was really thinking it would be Peter. He's Spider-Man, he has these superhero powers and he is going through a really tough time in life with a lot of things weighing down on him. I thought, and again, because most of my experience with this Venom saga has been through the cartoon. I thought that it feeds off those that are powerful. Like, Harry's kind of frail. Harry's kind of gray. Harry can't even throw a stick at Peter.
But is Eddie Brock powerful? You know what I mean? I think it might be powerful, emotional.
It's like, a powerful emotion?
Yeah, like Harry now is like full of hatred.
But I thought I know Eddie Brock's not like Spider-Man powerful, but he's Eddie Brock. He's kind of like the brute, like he's bigger, right? And I thought it's more like he has I guess maybe that's it. Like he has a strong mind, determination to something. Like, because that was the whole thing with Eddie Brock, right? He was very determined. He was down on his luck,
right?
Could not get a good story, and and then that kind of happens, right? And I guess for Harry, now that we've talked it out, it's that he's so determined to survive. And maybe that's what attracts the suit to him. But I thought, like, if you're in a room with Peter and Spider-Man, the suit would still try to cling on to Spider-Man. Because I remember seeing things like that when I was younger, where it's like you see like the suit not just go to anyone around it, but go to the strongest person in its environment.
I think in this
if
case,
there's multiple people.
Yes. I think in this case, it wants to survive. So, like, let's say the cartoon in the 90s, right? Peter gets the suit taken off of him because of the bell, whatever. The symbiote kind of like, luckily, Brock is there, and it kind of oozes onto him.
Yeah.
And he gets it. I think this
true.
is the same thing. It's like, it's been rejected by Peter. It's not going to go back to Peter because it knows that Peter doesn't want it. So it's going to go to something else to kind of cling to.
So in order to survive, it kind of needs the host to believe that it needs it.
I think so.
I got you.
So that is what makes the most sense. But here we are, Cam. Did you expect to play as Venom? Because I sure didn't.
No, I didn't. And I didn't expect Harry to just change into Venom too. Like immediately transform. Firstly, I didn't expect him to be Venom. I didn't expect him to immediately transform into him either, because I thought maybe he'd just go back to the suit being good. But I guess that vulnerability and that determination to survive kind of clouds his own judgment, allowing for Venom to come out. But holy, when Norman Osborn walks in and firstly, I was like, do you not see who we're up against, Norman? Get out of the way.
Oh, I know.
Get out of the way.
Well, at least though Norman sees that it's Harry, because what I was afraid of was he wouldn't know it would be Harry, and then he blames Spider-Man for blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
but I see that even happening now, because now he's seeing Spider-Man and Harry there. He doesn't know how this happened. And then he's just kind of like, security, get him, but don't hurt him.
Oh, I know. And it's like, this guy is like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
I would be like,
towers.
Mr. Osborn, I'm out of here. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, it's like, hey, am I getting a $60,000 raise? Because I heard from someone from another game, Leon, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, like I think it's like so crazy to see this moment, because like you said, this is the moment that we've been anticipating so much, and to see the size difference was the most obvious thing that feels different when you take control of Venom as well. You just see him towering over everyone, and everyone just looks so tiny compared to that. Plus, not to mention how heavy Venom is. Like, he is so heavy. Like, and you see his like the suit just start grounding itself to, and like making his legs bigger and grounding himself to the floor. Like, it is crazy how they did this, and like just immediately you feel that switch.
Did you have fun wreaking havoc on Oscorp? Because you just get to destroy the entire place.
You get to destroy the entire place, but you get to throw people around. I was throwing everyone around, and because you know how the symbiote works, it kind of like is an extension of itself. The suit is an extension of itself. It literally is like you're just whipping all these security
they're all
guards.
dead. They're all dead.
They're all dead. All of them dead.
Well, you get to escape Oscorp and destroy it along the way. And it takes Venom all the way to Times Square, which is hilarious to me. You can destroy the area around you in Times Square for a while.
They literally put Venom on like the biggest stage in New York, essentially the most iconic spot for this moment. And I think it's so fulfilling as we were waiting for it to see.
Well, guess what, Cam? In Times Square, something happens that I didn't really expect. So it's Kraven versus Venom. I guess Kraven finally gets the monster that he wanted this whole time, something that'll let loose it to its full potential. And it becomes to me a surprise boss fight that I did not expect.
I wasn't expecting this boss fight as well, but it does make so much sense because it just shows that Kraven was not hunting Peter and Spider-Man. He was really hunting Venom. Like,
Yes.
that's who he was hunting, and he was looking forward to facing for the final fight of his life.
Yeah.
Well, what he's been looking for. I don't know if he's going to retire after this or what's going to happen, but it's just like it was so satisfying because Kraven is a very difficult foe, but then now having the power of Venom at your hands, he kind of seems like a small fry.
Yeah,
Kraven.
he does. I give him no chance.
He's not going to survive. I don't think so. Yeah.
No, I don't think so either. The fight has two phases, and like we said, definitely feels like he doesn't have a chance in this fight because it does feel like a breeze fighting Kraven. It just feels like Venom is completely overpowering him, which I guess is what Kraven wants. Kraven gets the death he wants and is killed by Venom. You can see here that Harry looks at himself and realizes, like, what have I done? He's stunned at what happened.
Whoa.
Hold
Nick.
on. Yeah.
He wasn't just killed, he was decapitated by Venom. His whole head was just chewed off. And I can't believe they actually did that. But I can't believe they actually did that. Like,
I agree.
Did the whole head bite thing that Venom has been, like, Venom fans know Venom does. And like they did a few things that surprised me. They actually killed Kraven. I didn't think Kraven would die in this. I thought he'd kind of just like go away to come back for another hunt kind of thing, or like just be captured and put into prison kind of thing.
You thought he would be
captured?
captured?
They did that. I don't know. Like, I just thought like he'd be injured, or like at least like injured where he like against his will.
Really? I thought this was going to be the end all be all for him. Like, this is what he was trying.
Didn't think so. I was just like, he's all talk.
Okay.
There's, all
right.
The flames has been lit, but they've been extinguished and they need to be lit again. That's what I thought was going to happen. But then, yes, they brought out this magnificent boss fight, and then they did the biting thing. Like, that's crazy. Like, that to me, and it was like bloody and gory. You see Kraven's necklace,
drop.
Like, the fangs just drop in a pool of blood. Do you think Harry tastes that?
Yeah,
because Harry's under there.
Yeah.
Like, how is it as a host of Venom to bite someone's head off?
Well, he clearly was like, oh my God, who have I become here for a moment?
Is it like, when you eat garlic bread and you've had so much garlic bread that like your breath smells like garlic bread, you're then burping and a day later and you're still tasting the garlic bread? Is it like that? Because I really feel for Harry then, if that's a situation.
I don't have that happen to me with garlic bread, but it's like tacos. The taco
Yeah.
meats burps. That
Yeah.
last for a while. Maybe that's what it's like.
maybe Harry burps and like he just like smells the stench of Kraven and all that sweat.
A huge plot line, and that is where we go. But let's hold off. Let's hold off to any analysis here about what just happened till after the break. And let's take a look at Venom's new plan, and if we agree or disagree with everything that went down on this episode after the break.
Mom. I don't... What did I just do?
Don't be scared, honey. You finally have the power to do what we've always wanted.
We're going
To heal the world.
How?
Let me show you.
We're going to heal everyone.
Heal the world. Oh boy. The symbiote is using Harry's mother, by the way, to warp his mind. And the symbiote's plan is to make the whole world symbiote, basically. And we're in trouble. We are in trouble.
A planet of symbiotes, which is like a nod to the comic books as well.
Yeah.
For Venom's story, but holy, like it must be so shocking for Harry to go through that moment where he like immediately realized he's killed someone, because this is like the first person he's killed.
Yeah.
Well, and then also
allegedly.
well, I mean,
All those people in
security
Oscorp,
guards.
Yeah, I think they're done.
Also, how many security guards does Oscorp need? That's kind of sus. Anyways,
True.
They're just
It's like
there
almost an
on their
army.
night shift.
Yeah.
Like, why is there 100 people on a night shift at Oscorp unless they're up to something? But I digress. I think for Harry, it's more like he's really going through this the shock of everything, right? Of killing someone for the first time, but also realizing like he did it in the most brutal, inhumane way possible. It wasn't even where it was a way of defense, and it was like he had to protect himself. Like it was just bloodthirst at that moment. And it's weird because I didn't know how I felt with seeing this moment between Venom and Harry. Like, I think it's pretty cool to show the manipulation and that Harry is still partially a victim in this situation because he's being manipulated by Venom. But I didn't want to have any element of Harry as Venom be humanized this quickly. Like, I don't know if I was ready to understand that yet, because I was just so much on that high of holy crap, this epic reveal and these fights and all that power that we've had. I just wasn't ready for the humane like the human element of that story.
So I don't think that this symbiote is inherently evil. I think it's just a alien organism that is trying to survive, and not survive but thrive like any other organism, right? So what's the pathway to that? It's not necessarily, well, they're trying to kill everybody. I think they're just trying to, what's the best route for symbiote? And the way to do that is to, make Harry believe that he can heal the world. And in turn, maybe they are healing the world.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a situation where it's like we don't even know what's happening to its kind. Like, is it the last of its kind? Right? And its role is to kind of bring back its species or
Yeah.
some, we don't know, but I think you're right. It's like it's definitely to survive and to thrive. But then is it evil because it's willing to do that at all costs?
Right.
Does it have a sense of, is it that it has a sense of like how its manipulation?
There's no
is
empathy.
You don't think so?
No, there's no empathy. It's just
Is
like
that-
a scientific like organism. Sorry, trying to survive, and it'll do anything by any means necessary.
But it's a whole venom. It's a whole person ish, right? I must have feeling and thoughts, but I guess not. Maybe not. It's just, I mean, Emily May Foundation should also trademark Heal the World, because there's going to be different meanings of this as soon as the city gets hold of Venom spewing this information. We're healing the world.
We're healing the world.
Healing the world.
Based on that, do you agree that Harry was the right choice as Venom in this story?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's hard to say if he was a good choice right now because we don't see the after effects of that choice. Like, I think you have to make the choice based on what is the best storyline for the whole game, right? And we haven't completed the game. So I think it's hard to answer that question right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to on our last episode.
Okay. That makes sense. So let's move to Kraven then, because his story has finished. Do you feel that Kraven's ending was good? Do you think that was the right way to end it? Because I have an opinion on that.
I think so, because it's kind of like a story of like you ask for something and you get what you can't handle. Like he flew too close to the sun and met his demise, but also that is kind of what he wanted. The only frustrating thing there is like we learned so much in his study about his family lineage, about his about like everything with like his wife, and like not wanting him to go on this final hunt, because I guess his wife was probably not willing to let Kraven leave this world yet. But I just wanted more insight into that, and the fact like why is he doing so much research if he's really into the hunt?
Right. Yeah.
Was like Kraven, I'm trying to remember, Kraven in the comics, was he like very...
He's meticulous.
Like, well, okay.
Yeah. He definitely made sure what he was doing. Yeah, he never did anything without reasoning why he was doing it.
Okay. All right. So he's always been one for the books. I get it.
However, I would say I'm surprised. And I feel kind of not misled. What's the word that I'm thinking of? I don't know. He was the main baddie in this entire game. And his end kind of seems not fulfilling.
What?
So everything that went on with Peter and Kraven and a symbiote and him killing Peter at one point, to me, I would have liked to see Peter end things with Kraven. But I get it with Venom. He's looking for that absolute power. But it just felt sad to me that his ending, he was just like trying to throw himself at death by the end, not try to conquer it. And it would have been cool to me. I honestly think that Kraven should have been Venom. I think he should have
Yeah, I
stolen the
think that
power
would've been cool.
from Harry, and then he would be the absolute power, and that Spider-Man would have such a tough time killing Kraven because of that. And it makes sense with if he's dying, it cures his cancer, all of that. He has to juggle with trying to save Harry still. It just felt sad to me that it seemed like near the end he was just trying to throw himself at dying rather than, you know, finding his final fight. I get it, but like I don't know, there's just something about I didn't feel like the story ended for me. I felt kind of empty with that happening, if that makes sense.
I think I could see how you could think like that. Like, okay, so a few things. Like, I feel like how they set up the storyline. Like, I've mentioned here, I honestly thought Kraven would be Venom as well. I think that would have been an interesting way to go, but also the obvious choice. And I think they were trying to go a way where it might have been not so obvious. And how we discover that more, like, if you really think about it, Peter Spider-Man is not that invested in Kraven. Like, he isn't. It's only because Kraven's wreaking havoc in the city, hunting all of his friends, but he's not actually, when he has the suit off, he's not looking for that revenge for taking his friends. He's just trying to get everyone to safety and stop Kraven, right? Like, I don't think I needed that resolution for Peter to face off against Kraven because I wasn't that invested in their storyline together. Kraven, even though was set up as like the big bad, I didn't we anticipated we would see Venom, so I just thought Venom would be the big bad.
Is that a problem then, though? I feel like that's more of a problem than it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's hard to say if it's a problem because we haven't gone through the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the payoff is worth it. Like, if losing Kraven and say they don't do Venom well, this arc well, then I would say no, it's not worth it, because then it might have been more an interesting story to go the Kraven side. But if they do it well, I think it is worth it, because like he's just another casualty, and like then that could be the overarching thing. It's like Venom reigns supreme against all the other baddies, you know, like all the other villains. So yeah, I don't think I was as bothered, at least not yet.
Okay. How do you feel about Peter finally getting the symbiote suit off him? Was that satisfying?
I think so. I think like it showed resolve between Peter and Miles, because there was that miscommunication pre-suit. So the fact that it amplified the how Miles was being treated, and then helped Peter realize how Miles and specifically Miles was being treated even before this. I think it was a great end to like that. And it's always short-lived when you see the symbiote. It's never really, you don't never see it on Peter for a very long time, right? So I felt like that was satisfying enough for me. Was it for you?
Yeah, I think that to me it was more satisfying than Kraven's death. I felt like that arc had finished. I knew it needed to end quickly, and I think they did it properly. But I feel like with Kraven, they ended it quickly because they knew they had to get to Venom. That's just how it felt. So a lot of boss fights, one after the other. There's 3 boss fights. They almost had all 3 phases each, 2 or 3. Again, like it didn't feel action packed earlier. You said, how do you feel after this one? A lot happened in this specific episode.
Oh yeah, it was back-to-back action, unexpected action. I loved it. I really enjoyed specifically I really enjoyed the Kraven fight, that second phase.
Yeah, that's good.
It was really well done. I think the Miles fight or the Miles and Peter fight could have been more. It could have been shorter. Like, I don't think we had to go all 3 phases for all these battles. Like, I think it's obvious that the symbiote has changed the, again, power dynamics between the two of them. So it would have made sense if it was just even a 1-phase fight, maybe 2-phase, because there wasn't much of a change between those phases. It just kind of felt longer. But then even having that dynamic of where you have this really great battle against Kraven in phase 2, and it's a little bit more, it's difficult because it's so dynamic. And then you go to like that final boss fight with Venom and Kraven, and it's just like you're stomping on Kraven.
I know.
I love that dynamic of it.
I agree with you with the phases. I don't think it had to be that many phases, but I would have liked to see a ramp up of difficulty where I feel like
for the Miles fight.
No, for Kraven and Miles fight. So the Kraven
Really?
fight, yeah. So the Kraven fight got harder, but then I felt like after that it dipped and it was less difficult. When
The
you played
Kraven
Miles.
and Venom fight you're talking about?
No,
right,
no,
to
no.
clarify?
I'm excluding that one specifically because I think those don't need to that fight. You expect Venom to be overpowered. I'm just talking about specifically symbiote Peter versus Kraven into Miles fight. I felt like it should have just kept escalating harder and harder, but it didn't. It kind of dipped in difficulty, and I was a little disappointed by that.
Maybe that's why you feel like there's no resolution for Kraven, because you were expecting him to be more difficult.
Yeah, maybe, that makes sense. Finally, the Venom gameplay. I thought it was badass. We talked about it quite a bit, but it was unexpected, but I'm happy that it happened.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's something that when you have a game where Venom's in it, you have to allow players to play as Venom, right? When you think of the comic books and you think of one that's, or like even in the cartoon, when you think of that saga, well, when you think of Spider-Man as a whole, it's very one-sided. You're always getting Peter's perspective of the world. But when you introduce that saga of Venom, they introduce then whoever's Venom, if it's Eddie Brock, or just as Venom's perspective to the world with Peter's perspective of the world. And that's why, over different video games, we've always had where it's like you are also playing as Venom, right? So I feel like it's expected that you have to play as Venom. I just didn't expect for it to happen right off the bat and to also be a part of that reveal. It was so well done. Perfection. It's perfection. Also, do you think that, I was talking to producer Dylan about this, do you think that the Oscorp security guards have insurance? Is that a benefit? Because I mean they have lots of injuries.
In today's world, I don't think there's unions as much, and I'm going to assume that these are all independent contractors.
Producer Dylan was saying the same thing. Thinks they're like freelancers or something like that. Then you know what? There may be an infomercial playing maybe on one of these podcasts we hear in the game where it's like, have you been injured in the siege against Oscorp? You may be able to claim X amount of dollars.
Again, we don't talk about it, but the real life implications of a lot of these superhero things, they never mention it, but there is a lot. And though this is specifically one of them.
Did you lose a family member during the attack
on Oscorp?
You may be able to claim.
Yeah.
Call 1-800.
And Norman's still going to be a billionaire after all that's said. Anyway,
he's still good. How does he pay all these work? There was at least 100 workers.
He's a billionaire. Were just on
their night shift. Oh my goodness.
He has never-ending people at his disposal.
You might as well just throw money off the rooftops of
I'm sure
Oscorp.
He does.
Share the love.
I'm sure he does. All right, deep breath time. A lot happened in this episode. We've talked about it. We don't know how long this game is going to be, where it ends, who's ending it, what's happening with Venom. There's a lot. And we're going to try and break it down. But if you expected there just to be some sort of Spider-Man Venom fight right after this and that ends the game, you, my friends, are in the wrong. All right, because there's a lot of twists and turns to come. We're going to tackle that on next week's episode of AutoSave. Stay tuned because, again, there's a lot that's going to happen, and I am excited for what's next. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Camille Salazar-Hadaway and myself, Nick Andrade. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Seitzer. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now, and if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original, hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.